So Chennedy Carter is a player for nobody right now. Absolutely nobody. She is not playing basketball, and we've now got a situation where we've got one of the 15 best players in the world just not in the league.
Chennedy Carter just got hit with one of the coldest moves in professional sports. No farewell, no warning, just a silent exit as the Chicago Sky moved on without her. They didn't even pretend to give her a chance. Instead, they went ahead and signed her replacement before she could even... She was never truly part of their future plans to begin with. Was this a calculated front office?
Chicago Sky finally replaced Chennedy Carter with Ariel Atkins, and I am using this. As my opportunity to extend an olive branch to the Chennedy Carter Brigade. The Ken folk, I believe you guys call yourself. I am taking this as an opportunity to reach out my hand and say greetings.
Carter just got served a reality check hotter than a mid-July afternoon in Chicago, and let's be honest, it was overdue. She spent the entire season making headlines for all the wrong reasons: cheap shots, unnecessary side eyes, and going out of her way to be Caitlin Clark's on-court antagonist. And now, she's the one sitting on the sidelines. Chicago did just show her the door. They slammed it shut and locked it behind her.
She's a guard. She's a solid player. But they had Chennedy Carter that they chose to not re-sign, who was one of the most explosive shooting guards in the league. I put her around 2 or 3. I mean, I'm right now playing with Caitlin Clark to give Kelsey Mitchell the edge. Right now, I think Chennedy Carter is a better shooting guard than, say, Sabrina Nescu, Kelsey Plum. So, I mean, she's right up there.
Ariel Atkins, a high IQ player with leadership, defensive intensity, and zero unnecessary drama. While Carter is left wondering what's next, the Sky wasted no time upgrading their roster with someone who actually adds value. And the fans? Oh, they're split. Some are celebrating like Chicago just won a championship, while Carter's die hard. Supporters are calling foul, acting like this is the biggest injustice since WNBA refs started ignoring blatant fouls on Caitlin Clark. Next voice next. But let's be real. Chicago made their stance crystal clear. They didn't just quietly move on from Carter. They made sure there was no room for misinterpretation, securing a proven veteran before Carter could even attempt to fight for her spot. If that's not a direct...
regrets on how it happened and everything that's happened since then. I don't have any regrets with anything. I'm going to compete and play 100% hard no matter who it is, like I said, or who we're playing. No, I don't have any regrets.
And really? Can anyone be surprised? Carter spent the entire season embracing the villain role instead of focusing on making her team better. The unnecessary antics, the lack of professionalism, it all caught up to her. Sure, some fans loved, but WNBA teams aren't casting for a reality show. They're here to win championships, not headline.
Because I'm like, this is, if this was a year ago, fair enough. But like the Sky were willing to take her in. And look, I get it. Maybe she wasn't the greatest in the locker room, but she was really good at basketball.
Meanwhile, Atkins steps into Chicago with zero baggage and all the right intangibles. She's the type of player who elevates a team without stirring up controversy. She plays hard. She plays smart. And imagine this. She actually that alone makes her an instant upgrade. And while Carter's diehard fans are crying foul, the truth is simple. If you can't be a team player, you won't have a team for long. I saw an opportunity to strengthen their roster while eliminating distractions, and they didn't hesitate. No hard feelings.
Chicago Sky trading the number 3 pick in the draft to the Mystics for Ariel Atkins could feel like a little bit of a desperate move, right? Chicago desperate to compete right now with Angel Reese after her rookie season. Of course, Camila Cardoso's rookie season as well. So I get that, and it's a nice rebuilding move.
So now, the real question is, what's next for Chennedy Carter? Because, let's be honest, there's no long list of WNBA teams lining up to sign her. She may technically be a free agent, but that doesn't mean much if no one is willing to take the risk. After all the controversy she stirred up last season, front offices might see her as more trouble than she's worth. And this isn't just about talent. Carter can hoop, no doubt. But being a professional athlete is about more than just skill. It's about attitude, discipline, and understanding that basketball is a team sport, not a solo act. She's looking more like the player nobody wants to pick in a pickup game. And unless she does some serious damage control, this could mark the abrupt end of her WNBA career.
Carter's behavior, which apparently went unchecked by former coach Teresa Weatherspoon. There was concern within the team regarding how re-signing Carter would impact the Sky's chances of landing other free agents. And likely this was a joint decision that was made between the GM and the new head coach, Tyler Marsh.
Meanwhile, Chicago, they're not looking back. They've moved on. Ariel Atkins is in, and the focus is on winning. Carter, on the other hand, is left wondering where it all went wrong. Spoiler alert, it wasn't just one thing. It was an entire season of bad decisions. Chennedy Carter didn't just lose her roster spot, she made herself untouchable, with no team willing to take a chance on her. And can you blame them? Spending months trying to turn Caitlin Clark into her personal punching bag, both literally and figuratively, she's now facing an off-season full of uncertainty. Instead of gearing up for the 2025 WNBA season, she's staring at an empty schedule. And the worst part? This all could have gone different.
Girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that. How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. It's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Maybe if Carter had focused on her actual game instead of trying to make a statement at Clark's expense, she wouldn't be in this mess. But instead, she went all in on the villain role, taking cheap shots, refusing to show respect. Clark was just another overhyped rookie. Now, instead of guarding Clark on the court, she'll be watching her from home. Remote in one hand, phone in the other, scrolling through WNBA highlights that no longer...
Turn to you a little bit after the fever
I
score.
answered like a questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
This downfall was entirely avoidable. Rivalries are part of sports, but the great ones know how to walk the fine line between competitive and self-destructive. Carter, however, went too far. She wasn't just aggressive during games. She carried that same reckless energy into interviews, social media, and every public interaction. And now, with no team willing to give her another shot, she's learning a harsh lesson about what happens when you prioritize pettiness over profession.
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
The ultimate irony? Caitlin Clark, the same player Carter tried to belittle and humiliate all season. Not only is she firmly established as the WNBA's biggest star, but she's also breaking records, securing major endorsements, and preparing for what could be an MVP-caliber season. While Carter is dealing with the silence of a phone that isn't ringing, Clark is gearing up to take her game to even greater heights.
Clark is not. Caitlin Clark has changed the industry. She is bigger than the WNBA. There is not a player in the NBA right now who could come in and be bigger than the NBA. For what it's worth, LeBron James at 40 is not bigger than the NBA. When LeBron James retires, we won't blink. I'm being real. People will not blink. They'll keep watching.
Her options are now extremely limited. With no WNBA interest, she's left with two choices. Either take her talents overseas or step away from the game altogether. Once a player leaves the WNBA, there's never a guarantee they'll... Front offices have long memories, and Carter's reputation isn't exactly screaming second chance. This isn't just a minor career setback, it's one of the biggest self-inflicted collapses in recent... She had the talent. She had the opportunity. But instead of building herself up, she wasted it all trying to tear someone else down. And now, the league has spoken loud and clear. There's no room for that nonsense. So while Caitlin Clark is out there dropping dimes and making history, Carter will be stuck watching, reflecting, and hopefully learning the hard truth. Respect matters. Talent alone isn't enough. It can open doors, but character is what keeps them open. And unfortunately for Carter, she may have slammed her.
Made the game, even just when we were trying to make the playoffs. It was a hard fight. Y'all know I went down. I had a foot injury, which cost a lot of games at the end of the season. We ended up losing to Washington. I didn't play. We lost to Indiana. I didn't play that game. I missed a couple of games to where, maybe if we had our whole lineup, we could have had a better outcome. But as far as that, there's a lot of just narratives being spent. And from my standpoint, I had a great time. And this was one of the best seasons that I ever had in my career. And I'm not going to allow anybody to downplay it like it went bad, because it didn't go bad. It was the best season that I've had in my life. Shooting-wise, playing-wise, living-wise, it was a great experience for me personally.
Chennedy Carter just got hit with one of the coldest moves in professional sports. No farewell, no warning, just a silent exit as the Chicago Sky moved on without her. They didn't even pretend to give her a chance. Instead, they went ahead and signed her replacement before she could even blink. She was never truly part of their future plans to begin with. Talk about brutal. Was this a calculated front office to their way of sending a message that Carter had officially worn out her welcome? Next, Carter just got served a reality check hotter than a mid-July afternoon in Chicago, and let's be honest, she spent the entire season making headlines for all the wrong reasons: cheap shots, unnecessary side eyes, and going out of her way to be Caitlin Clark's on-court antagonist. And now, she's the one sitting on the sidelines. Chicago slammed it shut and locked it behind.
Honorable moment on a global scale for our game, for our players. It's the fans are absolutely incredible. It's the same when we go on the road. There's so many people that are showing up in fever gear. It's really affecting, teams all across our league, which is a really great thing. And, really, I think we're just scratching the surface.
Ariel Atkins, a high IQ player with leadership, defensive intensity, and zero unnecessary drama. While Carter is left wondering what's next, the Sky wasted no time upgrading their roster with someone who actually adds value. And the fans? Oh, they're split. Some are celebrating like Chicago just won a championship, while Carter's die hard. Supporters are calling foul, acting like this is the biggest injustice since WNBA refs started ignoring blatant fouls on Caitlin Clark. Next voice next. But let's be real, Chicago made their stance crystal clear. They didn't just quietly move on from Carter. They made sure there was no room for misinterpretation, securing a proven veteran before Carter could even attempt to fight for her spot. If that's not a direct message, then what is?
Her future was not going to be very bright, bruh. There are a lot of people who kind of surprised by this. I'm not, because I know. You know what I'm saying? What she did to Caitlin Clark was completely unnecessary. And I'm here to tell you guys, she's living with that decision today because she is without a job.
And now, just because they added a solid veteran in Atkins, these same fans are convinced the Sky are a completely different team. That's next-level delusion. Ariel Atkins is a great player. She brings defensive intensity, leadership, and scoring ability. But let's be real, she's not a miracle worker. Chicago still has glaring issues. Chemistry is still a work in progress, their depth isn't intimidating anyone, and their ability to match up with top-tier teams is a massive question mark. Yet, for some reason, Sky fans are acting like they built a dynasty overnight. Meanwhile, over in Indiana, Caitlin Clark is probably laughing while putting up extra shots in the gym. That first game of the season against Chicago? Oh, you already know she's got that date circled on her calendar. She remembers all the noise from last year.
They are taking this young, talented core that they have, with Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, and they're adding veteran players that Stephanie White has already worked with.
And speaking of bad takes, let's talk about Chennedy Carter, the player who just fumbled the biggest opportunity of her career. The WNBA has sent a clear message. No roster spot, no team willing to take the risk. While Carter is on the outside looking in, Clark is preparing to set the league on fire. Teams saw the warning signs, and no front office wants unnecessary distractions. Carter's reputation finally caught up with her, and now she's the player. Nobody wants. It's like getting picked last in gym class, except this time no one picked her at all. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is gearing up for one of the biggest seasons in WNBA history, MVP discussions, championship aspirations, and a team that's ready to make a serious run. The Fever are building something special, and Clark is at the center of it all. Chicago fans can hype themselves up all they want, but come opening night, reality is going to hit them hard. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.